I'm Judy Larrabee, and this is my mom, Elizabeth Garza. We call her Betty.
That's
Betty
it.
Garza.
Good.
And I am a social worker by profession, and currently I am full-time taking care of mom's caregiver. It's faith is like the ground. It's my grounding. It's what keeps me going, and it's where I get my strength. When I got my cancer diagnosis, it's almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years in March. And I knew when I received it that day, I got in my mind, a scripture came, and it's actually on my calendar, my new calendar for 2018. And my mom knows this real well. And it says, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." And that's from Jeremiah 29:11. And I received that word, and that has been such an anchor for me, because when I would have fear, when fear would come, I could say, no, I know that God has plans to prosper me, and I have hope and a future. And it was just such an amazing word. And I held on to that so strong. And I still do. I still hold on to this. And I just thought it was so cool. I just found it at Ross, and I thought, oh, this is great. I'm gonna keep this for 2018. So it's the everyday connection that I have with God that that sustains me and keeps me going.
Can you talk about the role humor has played in your life as a wise elder and also as a cancer survivor yourself?
I was just writing little thoughts about humor, and I was thinking that that was one of the biggest attractions that I had for my husband that died about 20 years ago. And Hugo made me laugh, and I think that was what I loved most about him, is that he was a funny fellow. He had a wonderful sense of humor. And I wondered if some of your people that you're teaching have ever read Norman Cousins' book called Laughter is the Best Medicine. And this is the book that saved his life. I have it here. It's Anatomy of an Illness as Perceived by the Patient. And it's a phenomenal bestseller on illness overcome and the triumph of the human spirit. And he went into a hospital, and he had them connect him up with funny movies. And that's what he did. He tried to laugh all day long. And he survived and laughed. He gave the credit to laughter. I can't say that I laughed all my way through my problems with the cancer, especially when it came to losing an eye. That was a pretty hard thing to try to handle. And of course, it resulted in depression, but I understand now. Thanks to Judy, she's found me a wonderful therapist. And I do have faith in God, thank goodness. I don't know what you'd do without it. And I have a big family that helps me. Judy's my nurse. Here she's not working, but my goodness, she's working constantly for me. And now I'm the taker, when I used to be the giver, and that's the hardest thing in the world for a woman. I think women even more than men, because it's been our job since we were born, I think, to take care of babies and to take care of our children, to take care of our husbands. But the whole idea is that without faith in God, I don't, and being alone, when you have problems, health problems, especially as you get older, if you can be blessed with your family and faith in God, then you're very fortunate. And I feel very fortunate. And I think that's why I'm still here on this earth. There must be a reason.
Can you talk about some of your practice and talk about what feeds and sustains your focus?
I think when you have a diagnosis like cancer, and if you're like me, a very type A person, you start scouring the net, and there's so much that you can look at, and you can glean from, and it can get really overwhelming. And so what I decided to do was pray and just trust my intuition, which is another question later, um, and just seek out one person or one type of practice. And as I was going through and doing some research, trying to narrow down the best practices, uh, very current, the same kind of themes kept coming up, and it's pretty much what I do. I did find a mentor. It's Chris Wark, W-A-R-K, and he healed his own cancer through nutrition. And he has chrisbeatcancer.com is his website, and that is where that's where I'm focused. And it really helps to just have a singular focus. But he talks a lot about plant-based diet, which I follow pretty much. I have a little bit of meat like once or twice a week, but I try to do plant-based as much as possible. Organic, of course, because there's so much toxicity in our environment and in our food. So even though it's pretty expensive, we're trying to make that a priority. So we have that. Exercise is really important, trying to do some aerobic, at least trying to do 30 minutes a day. The importance of mind-body connection is so important, to have your attitude, to have your attitude right, to ask yourself who you haven't forgiven and work on that, and do your best to forgive. And also to create, to reduce the stress in your life. That's really key, because I believe that I had, later on I'll talk about that how stress really did cause my cancer, and to try to reduce it by going outside, doing what brings you joy. All that is really important.
So, Grandma Betty, since I've met you 20 years ago, I've actually known you 20 whole years. Can you believe that? I've always admired not only your sense of humor, but also this amazing sense of wonder and curiosity you have. And I just wanted to invite you to share if you think that your wonder and curiosity are two of the things that keep you so young now that you're here into your 90s.
I try to tell my grandchildren to be givers and not be takers, because true happiness is going to come from thinking of others. That's the whole secret to being happy, I think. Just think about somebody else. And I was blessed to have my daughter Judy and son-in-law Randy. I am blessed to have them taking care of me. I've said family and good friends are priceless. My mother had 7 children, and I was her last. And when I was born, when she was 46, we were great friends, and her religious fervor helped her and has helped me sail through all this cancer. Because when I was young, I was very strong, and I was never sick. I don't mean never, but very seldom. And lucky, very, very lucky. But then after I retired, then that's when things started kind of falling apart. And that's when this great faith that I have of the Blessed Mother, Jesus, and then my family behind me got me through it all. Otherwise, that's why I feel so sorry for anyone who's alone in this world without anybody that really loves them, to take care of them.
Sure.
During your healing process, you shared an insight with me that I found really poignant, and I think that will really resonate for a lot of people, that when you were healing from cancer, that offered you the most time you had had in your life up to that point to rest. Can you speak more about this? And also, can you speak more about the role your intuition has played in your healing, and how your intuition continues to support you in caring for yourself and for caring for others?
I remember that comment, and it is really telling. Rest is it's a big part of self-care. Self-care is a part of our topic today, and so many people, including myself, work super long hours. Like my last job, I worked 10 to 12 hours, more like 12 to 14 a lot of times, in very high stress environment. And my supervisors and other people around me would say, you really need to slow down. You've got to take care of yourself. You've got to rest more and blah, blah, blah. And, we know these things, but for some of us, it's just really hard to do. It was really hard for me to prioritize that. I think it's because I'm really comfortable working. I'm a real type A, performance oriented, and I'm really happy when I'm working. And I don't know how really to relax, as well as like other people do. I think it's really telling when you have to put on your to-do list, okay, did I have fun today? What am I doing? Whatever, it's like, wow. But that's the kind of person I am. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are like that we're not as comfortable with it. And I know when I was around 50, I started going to therapy because I realized that I wasn't really enjoying my life. That I was doing a lot of work and accomplishing a lot of things, but I I wasn't able to really relax and enjoy my life. I did occasionally, but I never sustained it. And then I'd find myself falling into the old patterns again of working too hard. And it's been a pattern all my life. So when I got this cancer, I really believe it was my body telling me, this is it. If you don't learn this lesson of prioritizing self-care, slowing down, taking care of yourself, you're going to die, basically. And I was so shocked because I really did, I was really into health before, even though I worked a lot. But I allowed too much stress in my life, and I didn't rest and relax enough. So this gave me my body gave me the wake-up call I needed to start doing that. So when I was recovering from cancer, and I had to rest, it was so bizarre. It was like so hard for me, but I had to do it. And the more I did it, the easier it got. And I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed all the attention. It was so nice. It was like so sad when it was over, because I was getting better, and I should be happy, but then all the attention was going away. It was funny. But what I do now is I get 8 or 9 hours of sleep a night, and it's wonderful. Which I can do that because right now I'm flexible and I'm not working. But hopefully when I go back, I will do that. I will have to, to prioritize rest. And sometimes it takes a tragedy to wake up. And I'm just grateful that I listened, and that that I had the grace to do it. Because some people, even though they know they have this terrible diagnosis, they still, for whatever reason, they just don't have what it takes to get better. They don't have it. I don't know how I got the grace to do it, but to take care of myself. I'm grateful for that. Listening to your body is really important, and listening to trust that, because our body talks to us. When I had my diagnosis, about a couple months before, I started having some pressure in my abdomen. It wasn't a lot, but it was enough to get my attention. And I went to the doctor after about 3 weeks, and I had an ultrasound done, and the ultrasound had surprisingly showed nothing. And in reality, I had massive tumors, massive tumors. It was stage 4, all through my abdomen, but there must have been some angle or whatever that the ultrasound got that wasn't correct. So they told me, I got the results back. Hey, you got no problem. There's no tumors there. So I still felt, no, there's something wrong. I'd get the occasional twinges and pressure, and I just knew my body my intuition was telling me, no, you need to keep going. So I went back to my gynecologist, and we did further testing. And then that's when my CT scan showed up that I did indeed have massive tumors throughout my abdomen, my colon, and it was lit up like a Christmas tree, the PET scan. So It was really important. And I've always, one of the things my social worker mentor told me many years ago was trust your instincts, trust them, because they're there for a reason. They guide us. And so I've learned to do that. And it's one of my mottos, life lessons, trusting my instincts. And I'm really grateful I did. And I think I still do. I know I do it a lot, like picking a mentor, for instance, for the cancer protocols. And I just feel my instinct tells me this is the right way to go. And we all have to do that. We all have to take time and go inward and ask ourselves, what do I feel peace about? What do I feel best about? And then just trust that and go with that. And that's important. I would like to just say how important I think it is for people to reach out and ask for help. When you're isolated, like Mom was talking about how important it is to have family, but some people don't. So then you have a chosen family. Your community. But to be able to have the connections, how important it is to reach out and ask for help, because we don't exist in a vacuum, and we can't do this alone. We're really taking care of ourselves and beating cancer, and it's going to be a lifelong process, and we need the support of others to help us, to check in. How are you doing? It's just so vital to not be isolated, and so that's an important thing to do.
I'm just filled with joy and peace and real happiness with drastic changes that have happened in my life. And I'm just asking God maybe to help me accept it more. Accept the fact that I can't do what I used to do, and be grateful for what I'm able to do. That would be a wonderful way to be. Just be grateful. I wanted to say for everybody, what'll keep your sanity, it'll keep you happy, keep you smiling, is to turn on station, if you've got it, 720, and that'll take you into the SF Warriors. And this is the most exciting basketball team that I have ever watched in my entire life, and that's a fact. Having the time of my life. I love every member that's playing. They're such gentlemen, and they're just wonderful athletes, and I admire them all. So anyhow, SF Warriors go. Let's just hope they win whatever win the championship or the
Go
whatever.
Warriors.
Go Warriors.